Well, for years, Nebraska has been a destination for wild turkey hunting. But over the past decade, the turkey population has declined, and that's mirroring declines in other parts of the country. University of Nebraska-Lincoln is part of a collaboration that studies turkey populations. Andy Little is an assistant professor at UNL's School of Natural Resources, and he's also co-leading the project. Andy, thank you so much for taking the time today to talk to us about this. So let's start off by just telling us a little bit more about the project.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity. The project is being led by the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, the Cooperative Nebraska Fish and Wildlife Research Unit, and the University of Georgia. And this is partnering with Nebraska Game and Parks Commission, really to address population declines here in Nebraska. Population declines for turkeys have been occurring across the nation as a whole, but specifically here in Nebraska, we've seen over since about the high about 15 years ago, about a 45% decline in turkeys, and this is data based from the Nebraska Game and Parks Commission. And so this project is really to provide us a baseline of just general turkey ecology, things from movements, resource selection, looking at where they're basically selecting on the landscape different cover types, and then also diving into things like survival and harvest rates. And so all this data is really going to help Nebraska Game and Parks Commission and landowners think about managing turkeys and how to address some of those factors that may be causing those declines.
Yeah, speak to how this process, if you can break it down a little bit. I mean, obviously you just gave us all the details and the data and that they're looking at, but how this process will work, played out.
Yeah, that's a great question. So over the next 3 years, we're going to take and capture 360 wild turkeys and put GPS transmitters on them. So it's analogous to kind of the Maps app on your cell phone, tracks you around the landscape, and we'll be able to see where they're at, where they're spending time at in the landscape. Again, we'll be able to look at survival from that data. Also diving into aspects of the genetics and genetic diversity of these turkey populations through some of the genetic analyses, and then addressing some of the other questions of predation on the landscape and other factors that potentially could be affecting turkey populations. And what I like to say to folks is really turkeys unfortunately kind of face like a death by 1,000 cuts, and there's really not necessarily one driving factor. A lot of times it's usually a combination of factors. But this project's going to be based in western Nebraska and going to be really aimed at trying to address some of those factors that may be causing those declines.
Andy, how long will the study last? I mean, is this going to be taking us through the year, and ultimately the takeaway for you and what you hope to put out there to hunters and to people who have turkey? I mean, I have them right in my backyard and love seeing them.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is going to be a 5-year project. We're going to be collecting data for at least 3 years in the project. And then, again, this information will help Nebraska Game and Parks biologists and landowners across the western part of Nebraska address some of those questions, those factors that are causing those population declines, and thinking about different maybe land management practices that could help them.
The assistant professor at UNL School of Natural Resources, Andy Little. Great information, and look forward to seeing how this project plays out.